Hello, learner. In this lecture, we shall discuss more about interviews. The first step before taking interviews is to plan it. Interview planning. This is essential for effective employment interviews. A primary consideration should be the speed in which the process occurs. Many studies have demonstrated that the top candidates for nearly any job are hired within anywhere from 1 to 10 days. The physical location of the interview should also be both pleasant and private, providing for a minimum of interruptions. The interviewer should possess a pleasant personality, empathy, and the ability to listen and communicate effectively. He or she should become familiar with the applicant's qualifications by reviewing the data collected from other selection tools. As preparation for the interviewer should develop a job profile based on the job description or specification. After listing the job requirements, it is helpful to have an interview checklist that involves comparing an applicant's application and resume with the job description. Also, questions should be prepared that relate to the qualities needed in a person being sought. Next is the content of the interview. The interview permits clarification of certain points, the uncovering of additional information, and the elaboration of data needed to make a sound selection decision. The interviewer should provide information about the company, the job, and expectations of the candidate. Other areas typically included in the interview are discussed next. First is occupational experience. The interviewer will explore the candidate's knowledge, skills, abilities, and willingness to handle responsibility. Although successful performance in one job does not guarantee success in another, it does provide an indication of the person's ability and willingness to work. Second, academic achievement. In the absence of significant work experience, a person's academic record takes on greater importance. Managers should, however, consider grade point average in the light of other factors. Third, interpersonal skills. An individual may possess important technical skills significant to accomplishing a job. However, if the person cannot work well with others, chances for success are slim. This is especially true in today's world with the increasing use of teams. And fourth, personal qualities. Personal qualities normally observed during the interview include physical appearance, speaking ability, vocabulary, poise, adaptability, assertiveness, leadership ability, and cooperative spirit. As with all selection criteria, these attributes should be considered only if they are relevant to job performance. Now, let us take a look at the various types of interviews that are conducted in the selection process. The types of interviews are often broadly classified as structured, unstructured, behavioral, and situational. Let us first take a look at unstructured interview. This is one in which the interviewer asks probing, open-ended questions. This type of interview is comprehensive and the interviewer encourages the applicant to do much of the talking. The unstructured interview is often more time-consuming than the structured interview and results in obtaining different information from different candidates. Structured interview. In this, the interviewer asks each applicant for a particular job the same series of job-related questions. With the structured interview, questions are developed and asked in the same order of all applicants applying for the vacant position. This makes it easier to compare candidates fairly. There is a better chance that the best candidate will be selected using this technique. Often, benchmark answers are determined beforehand. The questions may relate to basic educational skills or complex scientific or managerial skills. Behavioral interview. Traditional interviewing has a reputation of being a poor predictor of job success. Because of the low success rate of traditional interviews, the behavioral interview is often used. This is a structured interview in which applicants are asked to relate actual incidents from their past relevant to the target job. Once used exclusively for senior executive positions, behavioral interviewing is now a popular technique for lower level positions also. The assumption is that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Behavioral interviewers look for three main things: a description of a challenging situation, what the candidate did about it, and measurable results. Situational interview. Whereas the behavioral interview focuses on how an individual handled circumstances in the past, the situational interview creates hypothetical situations that candidates would likely encounter on the job and asks how they would handle them. Basically, this interview provides a preview of how a candidate might handle situations in a stimulated work environment. Now, let us take a look at the commonly used methods of interviewing. Organizations conduct interviews in several ways. The level of the open position and the appropriate labor market determine the most fitting approach. First, one-on-one interview. In a typical employment interview, the applicant meets one-on-one with an interviewer. As the interview may be a highly emotional occasion for the applicant, meeting alone with the interviewer is often less threatening. This method provides a better opportunity for an effective exchange of information to take place. Group interview. In a group interview, several applicants interact in the presence of one or more company representatives. This approach may provide useful insights into the candidate's interpersonal competence as they engage in a group discussion. Board or panel interview. In a board interview, several of the firm's representatives interview a candidate at the same time. Companies use a board interview to gain multiple viewpoints because there are many cross-functional workplace relationships in business these days. Once the interview is complete, the board members pool their evaluation of the candidate. Multiple interviews. At times, applicants are interviewed by peers, subordinates, and potential superiors. It gives the candidate a chance to learn more about the company from a variety of perspectives. Stress interview. What would you do if you were in an interview that was going quite well, and all at once the interview said, "I think your answer is totally inadequate. It doesn't deal with my concerns at all. Can't you do better than that?" You may not realize it, but you have just been exposed to a stress interview. In this kind of interview, the interviewer intentionally creates anxiety and deliberately makes the candidate uncomfortable by asking blunt and often discourteous questions. The purpose is to determine the applicant's tolerance for stress that may accompany the job. Realistic job preview. A realistic job preview, or RJP, conveys both positive and negative job information to the applicant in an unbiased manner. An RJP conveys information about tasks the person would perform and the behavior required to fit into the culture of the organization. This approach helps applicants develop a more accurate perception of the job and the firm. Employers who give detailed RJPs get two results: fewer employees accept the job offer, and applicants who do accept the offer are less likely to leave the firm. Concluding the interview. When the interviewer has obtained the necessary information and answered the applicant's questions, he or she should conclude the interview. Management must then determine whether the candidate is suitable for the open position and organization. If the conclusion is positive, the process continues. If there appears to be no match, the candidate is no longer considered. Also, in concluding the interview, the interviewer should tell the applicant that he or she will be notified of the selection decision shortly. Keeping this promise helps maintain a positive relationship with the applicant. So in this lecture, we have learnt about how interviews are conducted, content of interviews, and the methods followed and how to conclude an interview. Thank you.